state the exact name because of the email, was SDAT city attorney, said that they don't have any enforcement role with CPGs. And 624, page 11, speaks about Brown Act violations, and people have the right to contact the city attorney, which is the city attorney that wrote that they don't have any enforcement rules. You can contact the attorney general, you can contact the city attorney, you can contact the county attorney. And this body relies on the city attorney for legal advice. I find it extremely disheartening that my taxes are paying for a city attorney department that puts inaccurate information in writing that conflicts policy 624, which was supposedly reviewed. Aside from that, you have projects that are being approved by this planning commission that have never gone on a notice of meeting for the CPG, which voted. That's another violation. Another issue is you revised 624 in 2022 and in 2024. And when it was revised, you did not add a table of contents. When you expect lay people, residents, community planning group members to comply with something, it should have a table of contents. The old 2015 did so, and the new one did not. I don't know why or how that was approved. A lot of these shenanigans occurred with COVID. Another very common issue is violations of the 72-Hour Act, and the fact that your Brown Act, you have a Ralph Brown Act video from over 18 years ago, missing 18 years of legal precedents that have occurred within the state of California. The number one, which is violated the most, is the agenda has to be viewable for 72 hours, and it has to be physically accessible. If it's in a library on a bulletin board, which is locked for 42 hours of the 72 hours, that is not accessible. I have emailed planning, Heidi Von Bloom, Kate Galloway, Marlon Pangolini. Please consider your job. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Davis, you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, good morning. Mary Davis here, government watchdog and accountability partner. I'm here now that the San Diego City Council voted to move ahead with the 101 Ash Street deal, allowing Ms. Moden's company, Create Development, to be part of the lease agreement for the redevelopment of that historically problematic site. While the city attorney opined that the risk of conflict of interest was deemed, quote, minimal, I would vehemently argue that point and say there is an egregious conflict of interest. It would be bad enough if Ms. Modens were a regular member of the Planning Commission, but given her position as chairwoman, she enjoys clout, privilege, influence, and power far more so than a regular member. The FPPC's quick guide to Section 1090 states in part, quote, the prohibition is designed to apply to any situation that would prevent the officials involved from exercising absolute loyalty and undivided allegiance to the best interest of the public entity concerned. Section 1090's goals include eliminating temptation, avoiding the appearance of impropriety, and assuring the public that the officials' undivided and uncompromised allegiance. Furthermore, Section 1090 is intended to, quote, not only strike at actual impropriety, but also to strike at the appearance of impropriety. I'm here today wearing my doo-doo hat to tell you that the transaction optics are odoriferous. Chairman Moden is Todd Gloria's direct appointee, and she is there as his agent due to his political anointing of her. Ms. Moden's involvement with this deal stinks so profusely that in comparison, it makes the Tijuana sewage smell like Chanel No. 5. I hereby publicly call on Ms. Modin to resign entirely from the City Planning Commission now that that lease deal was approved and is moving forward. The ethics ordinance prohibits anyone who is serving as a city official from participating in the making of a contract if they are financially interested in that contract. You are, in fact, a city official, and you are involved in the making of that contract, albeit on the back end, with the potential to profit handsomely from this deal. It is an incestuous relationship that does not uphold public trust. Please resign immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Woodhouse. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Brian Woodhouse. I'm from the Allied Gardens community. Thank you for your time this morning. It's a little different than our neighborhood community planning groups. I have a proposal for the city about growing neighborhoods. Some of what I propose may already be out there, but I wanted to bring it to get as one whole proposal. As part of living in a residential neighborhood, there's a lot of worry about how the city will grow in single family neighborhoods. And so I've been doing a lot of work and research on my own and working with our neighborhood community planning groups and getting to know the community. So I come up with an idea for, it's not really my idea, but putting it all together to help grow neighborhoods gentle, incrementally, that I think will help the city of San Diego. So our goal is to develop duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes on single family lots, have the city pre-approve some plans. So a developer can come in and pick from a plan that's already approved by the city, have a 30-day permit process. So that developer knows that within 30 days, they can start on their building process. That'll virtually eliminate any carrying costs and really help support small San Diego developers and help building structures in our community. We can't include mandatory parking. It's just too expensive for that to work. But I think something like this will really help our neighborhoods grow slowly and incrementally and help keep the character and the safety of the neighborhood while supporting our local developers. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any online speakers? Okay, we do not have any online speakers. That concludes public comment for non-agenda items. I don't think there's a request for continuance on any item. No, okay. Is there a request to place any items on consent? Vice Chair Boomhauer.
Thank you. I'd like to request that we place item 3 and item 5 on the consent agenda.
Okay. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on items number 3 or 5? No? Is there any commission discussion on items 3 or 5? No? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the items on consent?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We can go to a vote for approval of the items on consent. And that passes unanimously. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from July 10th, 2025?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We can go ahead to vote on the meeting minutes from July 10th. And that is approved. Do we have any directors' reports?
Yes, thank you, Chair. The last Planning Commission hearing was held on July 10th in the City Council chambers. The commission heard a request to approve changes to the permanent rules of the Planning Commission that updated the meeting location of the Planning Commission from the City Administration Building to our current location at 7650 Mission Valley Road. The commission voted 6-0-1 with Commissioner Marlborough absent to approve those changes. For the items before you today, for those who wish to speak, please make your way to the seats in the front left or form a line behind the podium. And that concludes the director's report.
Good morning, commissioners. I'd like to say that the second draft of the College Area Community Plan Update has been released for public comment. The draft responds to input from the release of the initial draft earlier this year. The draft can be found on the city's website, and public comment on the second draft is due September 7th and can be submitted to the email plancollegearea@sandiego.gov. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any commission comments before we start our agenda? Okay. Then we can start with agenda item number 1, which is the Edric Doringo hearing room, AKA the Edric.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Elise Lowe. I'm the Development Services Department Director, and today is a landmark day, our first public hearing in the new Development Services headquarters in Mission Valley. Today is a happy day, a celebration. It's been a long journey to get here, and I'd like to thank all of the members of the city staff from multiple departments that it took to get us here. And a special thanks to our IT and our project management sections for their readiness today. Absolutely amazing. Today, I stand before you to recognize a fantastic human being, a former leader of this department who unexpectedly passed away in 2020. His name is Edric Doringo, and in his honor, we are bestowing his name upon this room so that we may always think of him in our daily activities and our work. I'd like to thank his family for joining us today. A true San Diegan, born and raised in San Diego. Oh, okay, celebration, happy day. All right, a true San Diegan, born and raised in San Diego, attended SDSU for his engineering degrees and masters, then on to the city of San Diego in 1994 for his career. I don't think you can get any more San Diegan than that. His legacy shall live in this room as we all work together with community and industry and city, all as collaborative partners working to improve San Diego and its built environment. Well, Edric, as a deputized city engineer, was not necessarily a regular fixture of the Planning Commission, although we managed to find a photo of him there. Everything that he did, he touched thousands of projects in this city, thousands of people, and all in a positive way. The work that we do here and in this city, in this room, is really all about the people. And Edric, as a person, we should aspire to be like. This morning, I was reminded of the Engineer's Creed, and I'd like to read it to you because I don't think there's anything more fitting. As a professional engineer, I dedicate my professional knowledge and skill to the advancement and betterment of human welfare. I pledge to give the utmost of performance, to participate in none but honest enterprise, to live and work in according to the laws of man and the highest standards of professional conduct, to place service before profit, the honor and standing of the profession before personal advantage, and the public welfare above all other considerations. This is truly who Edric aspired to be, who he was, and how he operated and how he worked. This morning, I gathered some comments from his peers that were written on the web after his passing. Edric was a consummate professional, knowledgeable, responsible, helpful, optimistic, affable, and a true leader. Someone who could bring people together to find solutions to what were thought to be intractable issues. He had the respect of everyone in San Diego in the land development community. He left indelible footprints on our community that will never wash away. Those are the words of Sean McCauley. He was a role model, someone I looked up to. He always encouraged me to do our best every day. He was one of a kind. He was a positive influence on all of us who interacted with him. He was caring, ready to solve problems like a true engineer, smart, with a great sense of life and humor, an incredible human being, a mentor to all by his words and his actions. Meetings with Edric were not contentious, but they were a collaborative experience, and I looked forward to meeting with him. His influence permeated throughout the years with the city staff that he mentored. And that was written by engineer Lisa Lewick. I really believe our engineers, our city staff in the city of San Diego are working towards all of those characteristics and those intrinsic values. And I know that by having this room named in his honor, we will continue to do so. So it is fitting that we collectively honor his legacy. And so therefore today, we shall lovingly honor him in his public service. Sorry. By naming this room the Edric Doringo Public Hearing Room, or for short, the Edric. Thank you. And I'd like to call up Deputy Chief Operating Officer Casey Smith.
Thank you, Elise. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Casey Smith, Deputy Chief Operating Officer over the External Services Branch of the City of San Diego. I'm here today on behalf of the executive leadership of the city to support today's action in honoring Edric and celebrating this new facility, a place where civic action truly matters. It was important to me to be here today to celebrate this achievement, many years in the making, and to offer my sincere gratitude to the staff of the Development Services Department for their tireless work in making today a reality. This was a monumental move to relocate DSD and an important achievement to ensure the Planning Commission as a facility for the public to meet, which also will double as a training room for DSD's 700 employees. I really can't think of a better way to start off the commission's hearing in this new facility than to name this room in honor of Edric Doringo, a former Development Services Department leader who was widely revered by all who engaged with him. Although I did not know Edric well, by all accounts and based on my limited interactions with him, he was an outstanding, conscientious, and caring person. He was the type of leader all staff should aspire to embody. Clearly, he was well loved and embraced by many, as we can see from the people gathered here today on item number 1. I'd also like to take a minute to thank you, the Planning Commission, for your public service. Thank you for your actions here and making thoughtful decisions in order to benefit our city and make San Diego a fantastic city to live and work in. Your work truly matters, and I'm honored to support naming this room the Edric in honor of excellence in public service. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Rania Ahmed, our Director of Engineering Capital Projects.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rania Ahmed, the City Engineer and the Director of Engineering Capital Project Departments. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today as we honor the memory of someone who meant a great deal to many of us, our colleague and friend, Edric Doringo. It's been 5 years since his passing. I'm sorry. It's been 5 years since Edric passed, but his influence still echoes through our work, our values, and the way we show up for the public we serve. Today, as we dedicate this room in his name, we are not just putting a plaque on the wall, we are recognizing a legacy. I had the privilege of working with Edric early in my career as entry-level new engineer. At the time, I was still learning the ropes, navigating technical challenges, tight deadlines, and sometimes even tight budgets. But Edric had this unwavering presence. He always pushed for better, not for the sake of ego or recognition, but because he believed the public deserved our best. Every design review, every plan, every conversation, he challenged his fellow engineers to elevate the quality of delivered work. And not just the technical side, but also to stand up for what's right, even when it was not easy or popular. That's something I carry with me till today. The room will carry his name, and I hope it also carries his spirit of integrity, of excellence, and never settling for good enough. Special thanks to the Development Services Department and Elise for leading the effort to dedicate the space for Edric's name. To Edric, thank you. Thank you for your leadership, for your friendship, for being example and your service. You are missed but never forgotten. Thank you. And now I invite George Gusens.
Good morning. This is a happy day. I'm keeping it in my head. Last time I was here in front of the Planning Commission, it wasn't so good, but today it is a happy day. George Gossain, Deputy Director with Engineering Capital Project. Doringo family members, thank you for being here. Your presence really honors us. It's a great honor being here today as we dedicate this room to Edric, who left a lasting mark on America's finest city, Development Services Department, and all the lives he touched, including mine. First, I'd like to thank Director Elise Lowe. Her leadership in making this dedication possible, naming this room the Edric, couldn't be more fitting. Elise, your decision honors Edric in a way that means so much to all of us. And I want to sincerely thank you for that. Edric wasn't just my direct supervisor. He was a mentor, close friend, a brother. He led with deep integrity, dedication, and real love to his staff. Everyone loved Edric. He had a way of lifting others up. He had that talent. Always mentoring, always encouraging. He made sure everyone on his team had a voice and felt valued and supported. He led with genuine care and compassion, something that's truly special and unique. When I stepped into his role, I quickly realized I wasn't just, filling a position here. I was stepping into a legacy. And let me tell you, those were big shoes to fill. It wasn't easy. Edric set the bar so high, not only in how he worked, but in how he treated others, with respect, humility, and heart. One of the most intelligent, knowledgeable, and professional engineers that I've ever met. He was brilliant. Today, the Edric becomes more than a room or a name on a door. It becomes a reminder of how one person's knowledge and values can shape a whole team, a division, a department. May this room reflect the spirit of the man it honors, and may we continue to carry his legacy forward, one thoughtful decision at a time, just the way Edric would have done it. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Morning, commissioners. My name is Luis Shar. I'm the Assistant Director for Engineering Capital Projects Department. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about Edric, and I appreciate giving the time to do so. Edric, professionally and personally, was a friend of mine. Edric was somebody who was much more than just an engineer for the city of San Diego, much more than a leader. One time, Edric told me that he's not a typical engineer. And I remember when he told me that, it gave me pause and I couldn't really understand to what degree was he saying this. I think at the time I thought he was saying, well, he's not a nerdy pocket protector type of person, and which was true. He was much more than that. But I think what he recognized in himself, and now that I had time to think about it, was that he was a leader that not just reviewed things from a technical aspect, he also looked at the broader picture. He looked for solutions. He looked for reaching across the table and moving things forward. He was always very inspired and was always moving in that direction to finding solutions. He wasn't resting on his laurels, and he wasn't not trying to find a way forward. And I think that's why everyone respected him, not only his staff, but also those working with him. With me, he helped me create a way that our departments can partner together more closely for work that's happening in the right of way. And while that may sound easy on the surface, internally with a lot of driving interests and factors and pressures, is a very difficult thing to do. And Edric was very instrumental in getting that moving forward. On a personal level, Edric would give me advice that was contrary to what others were giving to me as far as career choices. And it turned out that Edric was right. Some of the advice he gave to me really has led me to the positions to where I am today. The fact that we are honoring Edric by giving this space his name, I'm sure for him would be something that he would humbly accept if he was here with us today. But I know inside he would be very, very honored. And I think the fact that this room that's going to have such important conversations, that's going to help the city move aspects forward, is only fitting. So I congratulate everyone for honoring him this way, and I'm sure that his name will not be forgotten. So thank you, and thank you, Edric.
I'm not sure if we have any more speaker slips on this item, but I would like to make sure if there's members of the public that would like to speak. And Edric Doringo, please come up.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Edric Doringo. I'm actually a deputy director with the City of San Diego Purchasing and Contracting Department on vacation today, and I couldn't miss this event. On behalf of the Doringo family, I'd like to express our deepest appreciation and would like to thank Development Services, the Planning Commission, Elise, for the dedication of the planning room in Edric's honor. Really means a lot to us. As you know, he was the biggest influence on my life. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be the person I am today. And I just like to express my deepest thanks. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Appreciate your time.
Good morning, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Marco Sesa. I am a principal with Sudbury Properties. I had the opportunity to work with Edric for probably a period of 15 years. It's pretty exciting for me to be able to look out the window and see some of the fruits of some of the work that occurred there. You know, it is a privilege to be here today and seeing this room dedicated to Edric. You know, while not part of the Development Services Department, I was one of the guys across the table for him for many, many years. You know, we got to work together, and as if you heard today, you know, the care, the professionalism that Edric had, he brought it to every project and every interaction that we had with him. He wasn't just known for his technical expertise, but the way he approached his work. He was decisive, thoughtful, and he always wanted to keep things moving forward. He understood the critical, timely decisions are to the development process, and he consistently went the extra mile to help move San Diego forward. Working with Edric meant that you could count on clarity, fairness, and a steady hand, qualities that earned him the respect of colleagues across all the departments, as you've heard, and also the private industry. This room, now bearing his name, the Edric, stands as a tribute to that legacy. It's a place where decisions will be made, progress is shaped, and collaboration is essential. So all values that Edric lived by every day. May this designation serve not just as a memorial for him, but as a reminder of the impact one person can have when they lead with integrity, purpose, and heart. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Marcela Escobar. I'm here to honor the memory of Edric. There was nobody like Edric, and there never will be. I think you've heard it over and over again. His integrity, his ability to solve problems. As a former development services director, I had the pleasure of working with him both in staff as well as on the outside. And whenever you came to Edric to Edric with a problem, he just always found a solution. And quite frankly, if he couldn't find it, it probably wasn't there. You keep hearing over and over again about the people he's touched, the legacy that your father, your husband, and your son and your brother have left behind. He touched so many lives, and he will forever be honored, not only through his legacy, through the memory in this room, through the BIA award, which I think Lori is going to talk about, but with all the lives that he touched and the built environment in San Diego. Your father, your husband, and your son was loved and will always be loved, and he will always be in our hearts. Thank you.
I'm Lori Filer. I'm representing the Building Industry Association of San Diego, and we continue to honor Edric by giving out the Edric Doringo Award every year to a public servant that embodies the characteristics that Edric did. He was kind, he was patient, he was very wise, he found the solutions, and he treated everyone with the same respect from janitor to CEO. So this is just the perfect place for him to be. Thank you.
Good morning, Craig Benedetto here today speaking for NAOP, Holland Partners, Heinz, Lowe, and a lot of other folks. This is an amazing day. It's emotional, bittersweet, but it's a happy day, as Elise noted. This building is a vast improvement over the Cobb, and that's a major understatement. Edric, engineering and development projects can be difficult and contentious, particularly when I'm working on them. The fact that so many people who worked with Edric are in this room to honor him shows just how successful he was in his profession, in his leadership capacity. The dedication of this room for Edric makes this place a perfect honor for someone who works so hard to listen, problem solve, collaborate, and move the city's business forward. This is exactly what you, as the Planning Commission, do in your civic duties, which makes this dedication a fitting recognition of Edric's way too short but impactful legacy. I'd like to congratulate Elise and her team for the efforts to make this new building, this room, and all of the benefits it will bring to the DSD team and customers a reality. To his family, thank you for loaning us all Edric on a daily basis. As you can tell, he's missed, and I know you miss him well. And Edric, if you're looking down today, I'm sure you're smiling at listening in on another public hearing and knowing you really don't have to do it again. Thank you.
Doreen Diaz.
I'm very happy that this room was dedicated after such an honorable person that worked for the city. However, the location that you have chosen for this room contradicts the city of San Diego and the Planning Commission's votes on eliminating the use of cars. How many people could actually walk here from their home? This is not close to a trolley station. It is a gorgeous room, but it is not user friendly. It is not promoting the walkability and the public transportation, which is supposedly part of the city's mission, while it is a gorgeous room. And this podium is in a horrible spot. It is not an ADA friendly spot. It should be somewhere within this horseshoe. I know it's a new meeting, but it should be maybe where that young man is sitting right at the front, where you can actually look at the faces of the people. So I hope you take that into consideration when you tell residents that they can walk everywhere and take public transportation. You should be doing the same. So all of you should be walking to this location, and it is beautiful.
Are there any other members of the public that wish to honor Edric Doringo? Okay. Commission, are there any commissioners that would like to speak? Commissioner Mazzari?
Hi, my name is Farah Mazzari. I worked for the City of San Diego Development Services for 30 years before I retired in 2019. Many of those years I worked with Edric in one capacity or another. He was definitely everything everyone said and more. a wonderful engineer, a great person, a fun person to take breaks with. George knows. We spent a lot of times working on projects together. He was a great teacher, great mentor. He was very young as a student when he joined, I think, 1994. And we used to have a lot of fun working at the counters together. And just like I said, it was amazing all around. And I do miss him. He passed away in 2020 after I left the city, but definitely one of the worst news I could have received. But I was very happy to hear that BIA named an award after him, an Edric Doringo Professional Excellence Award, and that we are naming this room after him. He definitely deserved it. He definitely left a big impact on all of us who worked with him and everyone at the city. I know his family is going through a very hard time, and we all feel it, and we're all in there with you. He was like a little brother to me. Thank you.
Thank you. I only had the opportunity to work with Edric for just a little bit of time, but you can definitely feel the love for him today. And so I'm very happy that we're naming this room after him. I think that concludes this item, so we'll take a 5-minute break.
Can everybody please take their seats?
We're going to continue on to item number 2. Staff, whenever you're ready.
Good morning. For anyone who would like to participate remotely, the phone-in testimony period is now open for the Calle Chanate project. The phone number to call is on the center of the slide. Please take a moment to read the instructions, and this will appear at the end of the presentation as well. Good morning, Chair Modin and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Veronica Davison, and I'm a development project manager with the Development Services Department. The item before you is the 2238 Calle Chanate tentative map project. The project scope includes a subdivision of a 0.899 acre site to create 11 residential condominiums that are currently under construction, and a request to waive the requirement to underground existing off-site overhead utilities. The project is a mapping action and does not involve any new development. The project address is 2238 to 2258 Calle Chanate in this residential multiple unit RM11 zone within the Skyline Paradise Hills community plan. A tentative map is required for a land subdivision creating 5 or more condominiums pursuant to San Diego Municipal Code Section 125-0410A2. This project was determined to be categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, pursuant to CEQA Section 15332 for infill development projects. The environmental determination was made on March 5, 2025, and the opportunity to appeal that determination ended on March 19, 2025, with no appeals. The project site is approximately 4 miles east of the San Diego Bay and 2 miles northeast of the intersection between Interstate 805 and State Route 54. The project site does not contain or adjoin any watercourses, environmentally sensitive lands, or multi-habitat planning area lands. The project site is located at the intersection of Calle Chanate and the Potomac Street within a developed urban neighborhood that includes the following uses. Religious assembly directly adjacent to the south, and residential multiple dwelling units to the west and southwest, and residential single dwelling units to the northeast across Calle Chanate. The Skyline Paradise Hills Community Plan designates the site for low-medium residential uses with a density of 10 to 15 dwelling units per acre. 11 units on the project site result in 12 dwelling units per acre. The project under construction conforms to the regulations applicable to the RM11 zone, including building height, setbacks, density, landscape, parking, floor area ratio, side drainage, and public improvements. Building permits for the 11 units were obtained under project number PRJ 1073606 and right-of-way project number 1073044. The proposed subdivision does not include any additional development, modifications to the previously approved construction plans, or propose any deviations. The property will continue to front and take access from Calle Chanate with all required public utilities and services located adjacent to the site. The project includes a request to waive the requirement to underground existing off-site overhead utilities, and the request was determined to be appropriate pursuant to San Diego Municipal Code Section 1440242C, because the cost of the conversion would increase the cost per unit by more than 1%. The tentative map is conditioned to underground all on-site utilities serving the subdivision. Other conditions of approval include construction of all public improvements for the previously approved project before the final map is recorded, and all landscape improvements shown on the building construction plans, including in the right-of-way, must be consistent with the landscape regulations and standards. On January 14, 2025, the Skyline Paradise Hills Community Planning Group voted 4-0 to recommend approval of the project without conditions. Staff has found the proposed subdivision to be consistent with the land development regulations of the municipal code and the Skyline Paradise Hills Community Plan with no deviations. Further, purchasers of the condominium units will be required to adhere to the development regulations of the RM11 zone. Therefore, city staff recommends approval of tentative map number 3221122. And this concludes the presentation. Staff and the applicant's team are available to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any clarifying questions from the commission? No? Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Doreen Diaz, you'll have 3 minutes. Ms. Diaz, can you turn on the mic?
I was present at the meeting the night of the Skyline Paradise Hills Planning Group. And this project was not on the notice of meeting. If I happened to take a picture of the notice of the meeting, and it was emailed to Marlon Pangolini. It was also emailed to the Attorney General, because this planning group has been approving projects in secret without notifying the community. This project showed up in October, and that meeting had to be canceled due to the Brown Act violation, and they had not sent a meeting notice 72 hours in advance. Then they showed up on January, unbeknownst to anybody, because it was not listed on the notice of the meeting. At the time of this vote, which was just shown you, which said 4-0, that showed that the chair of the planning group, since there's only 4 members and it has been 4 members for almost 2 years prior to that, that the chair also voted for this, and the chairs are not allowed to vote unless there's a tie. This is once again another example of needed amendments to policy 624. Regardless if you like the project or if you don't like the project, the public by law, which is city attorney, should be enforcing the Brown Act, which requires 72-hour notice, regardless if you're friends with certain people on working in the planning department. It should be one rule for all 52 planning groups. projects like this, you have no idea of input from the neighbors because, like I said, it was canceled once, and then the second time they had come and they didn't bring any information that had been submitted to the city, so it was tabled because they did not bring the application, and whoever was assigned did not give information to the planning group before. I am not a member of the planning group because it's very dysfunctional, but I am a resident and I am a voter and I am a taxpayer. And this group should be requesting either your clerk to verify meeting notices to see if the planning group had a right to vote without if they notified the community or if they voted in secret. The clerk should do this, not the project people. The project people should be able to show up, but it would behoove them to look if there was a notice of meeting and if their project was actually included in a notice of meeting. And I really hope that the Attorney General will follow up on this matter.
Thank you. Do we have any online speakers? No, we can move on to commission comment. Vice Chair Boomhauer.
Thank you, Chair Modane. Just for clarification, City Attorney, can you discuss the role of community planning groups in the city's discretionary approval process? And specifically, can you address whether or not the planning group's approval, disapproval, or hearing of a matter is required for us to take action?
Sure, I was actually just reading the policy that was referenced earlier during public comment. They do not, under the charter and code, have legal authority for the city. While they are a recommendation to this body, that's what they are, a recommendation. It's not, they don't hold legal authority under the charter for their basis for their recommendation, nor is it necessary to have a recommendation for you to proceed in your deliberations and making a decision.
Perfect, thank you. So just to summarize for the record, they're advisory, not anything else.
Correct.
Perfect. That being the case, I see no reason why we can't move forward with this. I think it's a good project. I like that there's for sale residential product being delivered anywhere in the city, but especially in areas like this where we've not seen a lot of that taking place. And so I am happy to move staff's recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. Commissioner Marlborough, did you want to speak?
No, I was just going to make the second.
Okay. Are there any other commissioners with comments? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner or Vice Chair Boomhauer and a second by Commissioner Mazzari. We can go to a vote. And that passes unanimously. We can move on to item number 4. Staff, you may start whenever you're ready.
Phone-in testimony is now open. Please review the following instructions provided on the screen. Good morning, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Christian Hoppy, and I am the assigned development project manager with the Development Services Department. The item before you is project 1093271 Chaledon Views. The 0513 acre site is located at 2060 Chalcedony Street in the RM 1-1 residential multiple unit zone and the coastal height limit overlay zone within the Pacific Beach Community Plan. This site is not within the coastal overlay zone, and the surrounding neighborhood contains single and multi-dwelling units on varying size lots. The project scope of work is to demolish an existing house and to subdivide the existing 22,337 square foot site into 7 new parcels to allow the development of 7 new houses. The project site is at the northwest corner of Chalcedony and Noy Street, approximately 1.5 miles from the Pacific Ocean, 1,600 feet from Kate Sessions Park, and 850 feet from Sessions Elementary School. A subdivision consisting of 7 parcels requires the approval of a process for tentative map. To facilitate the subdivision, the project also requests deviations to the development regulations of the RM 1-1 zone. Within a sustainable development area, this residential development qualifies as infill development pursuant to the San Diego Municipal Code. And the requested deviations can be allowed with the approval of a neighborhood development permit pursuant to the San Diego Municipal Code. The stated purpose of the RM zones is to provide for multiple dwelling unit development of varying densities and to individually accommodate developments with similar densities and characteristics. The RM 1-1 zone allows 1 dwelling unit for every 3,000 square feet of lot area. This allows 7 dwelling units on 22,337 square foot site, and the project will meet this density. However, the RM zones typically provide for attached multiple dwelling unit development in the forms of apartments or condominiums, and the development regulations of the RM 1-1 zone, including but not limited to required lot width, required lot depth, and minimum lot size, do not contemplate the development of single dwelling units at an equivalent density. The project desires to create a housing development that achieves the allowed density for the RM 1-1 zone, but with each dwelling unit having its own legal lot. Therefore, the project includes 8 general deviations applied to each lot, totaling 42 deviations. The 7 units will access the site from 1 driveway, eliminating vehicular and pedestrian conflicts and providing an opportunity for the units to incorporate a front yard landscape with sidewalks and trees. The project will also dedicate approximately 7 feet of additional right-of-way along Noyes. The units will incorporate a variety of materials, including stucco, wood siding, and brick veneer to provide texture and color, adding visual interest and blending with the existing structures in the neighborhood. On June 12, 2024, the Pacific Beach Community Planning Group voted to approve the project 9-0 with 1 abstention. Staff has reviewed the proposal and determined that the project conforms with the community plan and the adopted city council policies and regulations of the Land Development Code. Therefore, draft findings and conditions to support the project approval are presented to the Planning Commission for consideration. This concludes staff's presentation. Staff and the applicant's team are available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any clarifying questions? Oh, okay, we can move on to public comment. We have the applicant here that's available for any questions. I don't think you want to speak unless you need to. Please state your name for the record.
Sure. My name's Rich Gustafson. I'm with City Mark Development. We've been building award-winning communities in San Diego for 25 years. We're excited about this project. We've been working on it for a long time. We feel it's appropriate for the neighborhood. And as you see, we have unanimous approval from the planning group. And we ask for your approval today. And we're here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no more further public comments in person, and we do not have any comments online. We can move on to commission comment. Vice Chair Boomhauer.
Thank you, Chair. This falls into my ongoing theme that we need more housing of all types in all areas of San Diego. I think this is a well-designed project. I think the deviations are logical based on how the project is being proposed. I can make the findings and therefore move staff's recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other commissioners wish to speak? No, I'm in support of this project. I think this is exactly what we need, is to take a huge lot with a single family home and turn it into multiple homes. So I'm in support, and I think we can go to a vote.
We might have a technical problem. Stand by.
We have a verbal yes from Commissioner Malbrough.
Yes.
Yes. That passes unanimously. We can go to item number 6. Staff, you may start whenever you're ready.
Mhm. Okay. Good morning, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Matthew Nasrallah, Associate Planner, and this is Grant Rorodi, Senior Planner. We're both with the City Planning Department. Item 6 before you is a request to initiate an amendment to the Scripps Miramar Ranch Community Plan and the General Plan. The requested amendment initiation to the Scripps Miramar Ranch Community Plan and the General Plan seeks to redesignate 5 parcels totaling 28.48 acres from a community plan land use designation of industrial park to high medium residential density, and from a general plan land use designation of industrial employment to residential. The proposed amendment would also remove the general plan prime industrial designation. If initiated, subsequent approval of the proposed community plan amendment and corresponding rezone could allow for development with a range between 427 and 826 multifamily homes based on the proposed high medium residential density, 15 to 29 dwelling units per net acre, community plan land use designation. The 2025 California Tax Credit Allocation Committee Opportunity Area shows the subject site is within the highest resource area. The location of the proposed community plan amendment initiation for the 5 parcel 28.48 acre subject site is outlined in red. The subject site is at the intersections of Scripps Ranch Boulevard and Scripps Lake Drive and Meanly Drive and Hoyt Park Drive within the Scripps Miramar Ranch community planning area. The applicants for the initiation are Scripps Ranch Community Partners LLC and Shea Homes Limited Partnership. 4 of the 5 parcels in the subject site are undeveloped. The 5th parcel, located at 10277 Scripps Ranch Boulevard, has a vacant 69,900 square foot building, which was built in 1991. Adjacent uses include commercial offices, light industrial uses, and open space to the north, open space to the east, Scripps Ranch High School, and light industrial uses to the west, and commercial offices, light industrial uses, and open space to the south. The site is currently designated as Industrial Park in the Scripps Miramar Ranch Community Plan. The initiation request is to redesignate the site to residential with 15 to 29 dwelling units per net acre. The subject site is designated in the general plan as an industrial employment and is identified as prime industrial land. Prime industrial land supports export-oriented base sector activities such as research and development, heavy or light manufacturing, and warehouse distribution. The identification of prime industrial lands is intended to protect valuable employment land for base sector industries. The site is also zoned as IP21 Industrial Park, which allows a mix of light industrial, research and development, and corporate office uses. Upon approval of the initiation, an appropriate residential zone would be identified. The nearest existing transit route would be MTS Route 964, which provides service through Scripps Ranch Boulevard, heading northbound to Mira Mesa and southbound to Alliant University. The subject site is adjacent to Scripps Ranch Boulevard, Scripps Lake Drive, Meanly Drive, and Hoyt Park Drive. Scripps Ranch Boulevard operates as a 4-lane major street, and Scripps Lake Drive operates as a 2-lane residential collector street. There is a Class 2 bicycle lane along Scripps Ranch Boulevard, and there is also a Class 2 bicycle lane planned for Scripps Lake Drive. Public facilities include Miramar Ranch Elementary, Thurgood Marshall Middle School, Scripps Ranch High School, and San Diego Miramar College. Existing Fire Station 44 is located approximately 2 miles southwest of the site. The Scripps Miramar Ranch Library is within a half-mile of the site, and Miramar Reservoir and Hoyt Park are within a mile of the site. The site is partially located within the 60 to 65 decibel noise contour relative to Marine Corps Air Station Miramar, which is located south of the project. Between the years 2010 and 2023, the number of homes in Scripps Miramar Ranch increased by 9%, and the population increased by 3%. There are no deed-restricted affordable homes in the community plan area. From 2020 to 2022, the number of jobs in Scripps Miramar Ranch increased by about 10%. In 1986, a planned industrial development permit was issued, which prohibited uses related to manufacturing, fabricating, assembly testing, and processing of drugs and pharmaceuticals. I would like to note a correction for the staff report that the discussion regarding industrial uses on page 6 should have been described as uses that were prohibited instead of uses that the PID was limited to. In 1991, a 69,900 square foot building was on one of the parcels. In 2021, the PID was amended to allow the previously prohibited uses in the IP21 zone. The other 4 lots have remained undeveloped, and the building is currently vacant. General Plan Policy EPA 6 calls for considering potential opportunities to allow residential uses to support industrial employee housing needs based upon collocation studies to ensure land use compatibility. Policies EPA 13C and EPA 20 call for an evaluation of the prime industrial land criteria in Appendix C EP1, the co-location conversion suitability factors in Appendix C EP2, and the potential contribution of the area to the local and regional economy when considering residential conversion or co-location in the industrial land areas. The proposed amendment would meet the initiation criteria in the general plan. In terms of consistency with goals and policies within the general plan and the community plan, the proposed amendment would help to provide infill housing and to promote a variety of housing types and prices throughout the community. The proposed amendment would provide opportunities for affordable homes in a high resource area to support affirmatively furthering fair housing, consistent with the general plan housing element. The amendment would also provide additional public benefit by providing more homes in an underutilized and vacant site within a high resource community that has existing amenities. The amendment would also create the opportunity for additional on-site amenities. In Scripps Miramar Ranch, all necessary public services appear available to accommodate the increase in density. If the initiation is improved, the provision and availability of public facilities will be further analyzed. On July 3rd of this year, the Scripps Ranch Planning Group voted 14-2 with 2 abstentions to approve the initiation. Should the initiation be approved, issues that would be addressed include evaluating the appropriate land use and zoning for the site, analyzing the economic impact of removing the prime industrial designation, conducting a co-location study to demonstrate no impacts on surrounding industrial land, and evaluating parks and public spaces for new residential uses at the site. Other issues to be addressed include a demonstration of efforts towards affirmatively furthering fair housing, connectivity of pedestrian and bicycle facilities, a review of pedestrian and vehicular circulation, and design consideration for the proposed land use designation. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission initiate the plan amendment process to the Scripps Miramar Ranch community. The initiation request, if approved by the Planning Commission, would not constitute an endorsement of the plan amendment or project proposal. This concludes staff presentation, and we are available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any clarifying questions from the commission? No? Okay, moving on to public comment. Mike Arduino, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning, and thank you, Chair and members of Commission. My name is Mike Arduino with Murphy Development Company. We own one of the adjacent lots within this subdivision, and we're here in support of the Shea Community Plan Amendment Initiation Request. We hope the city considers removing the prime industrial land designation over the entire subdivision, as well as changing the land use designation for the entire subdivision to something that will allow residential uses. In fact, we will be submitting an application for a similar rezone soon, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Barnes.
Give me a second here. Hi, I'm Paul Barnes with Shea Homes, and thank you. Staff did an excellent job. I appreciate you taking under consideration of rezoning 28 acres in the area from industrial to residential. And when we look at this site, it really, it was originally zoned residential, but it was zoned industrial in 1986. 4 of the 5 lots have remained vacant for the last 40 years. I think the business climate has just said, it's not necessarily the most ideal spot for the industrial use. You look at University City, Otay Mesa, different parts of town, which have, colleges, universities, hospitals, and manufacturing nearby. They're probably a better use, and that's why this has remained vacant for so many years. Additionally, I think Matthew talked about the high school, elementary school, parks. There's a lot of ancillary use that are more appropriate for residential use that basically surround the whole site. There's a kindercare, 2 different places of worship in the immediate area. So if we look at this, this is an opportunity as we look forward, the housing crisis, providing new housing. This is a great opportunity for us to work with the community group. We've had several outreach meetings with the community. We're going to work closely with them to kind of continue the vision of what Scripps Ranch is. If I look at Scripps Ranch, you see older homes that were, built several years ago. Young families aren't able to move in, and we would build a community that allow people that maybe grew up in Scripps Ranch, but now have been forced out because of house prices and just the
lack of availability of housing. So I make myself available for any questions, comments. Not hearing any. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have no more further in-person speakers. We'll move to the online speakers.
Rob Ilko, you can unmute yourself and you will be given 3 minutes.
Thank you, commissioners. Having been involved in every development in Scripps Ranch for the last 34 years, we do not generally oppose an initiation because we understand the purpose and the goals of the evaluation of the entitlement and environmental. We are generally in support of the initiation. However, we do want to look at the merits and have very specific issues addressed that we sent the planning group, and I did as well, to 16 issues. We'd like to include those 16 issues specifically in the motion to approve the initiation. I know traffic circulation is always an issue. We'd like to try to get ahead of that and use adaptive streetlight technology, which for the last 20 years we've been trying to incorporate into Scripps Ranch. This is a great prime opportunity to do that. It provides efficiency and reduces the traffic congestion of the anticipated 500 units. There are 16 items we'd like, again, to specifically add that to the city's staff evaluation of the project. Thank you very much for your time.
Next up is Victoria Labruzzo. You will have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Planning Commissioners. I appreciate you taking the time. I am Victoria Labruzzo. I am the chair of the Scripps Ranch Planning Group. And I just wanted to reach out and say thank you to Shea Homes. I think they are a great example of what builders should be doing with communities. I've been to a number of at least watched planning commissions and city council, and I don't believe that all the builders are doing the same thing that Shea Homes is doing. So I just wanted to thank them for the amount of communication that they've been doing with the planning group in particular and the community. Even though we clearly, we know we are an advisory group only, we're all very aware of that. I do think it's really important that you should keep the community relations open. And I'd really like to see a better communication through Planning Commission, encouraging builders to go to the planning groups when projects like this come up. And I want to thank Marlon for all his communication. And also Matthew, I think you did a great job on the presentation. And again, I just thank you all. And again, this is the initiation. Bob Ilko just gave you kind of the details of what we are looking for. And appreciate you taking the time to listen to us. Have a great day.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment portion for this agenda item. We can move on to commission comment. Commissioner Miyahara.
Thank you for the staff report. Something stuck out to me when I was reviewing the staff report, specifically attachment 11, the applicant's initiation request letter. It references a preliminary review that was completed in November of 2024. And in that preliminary review, it looked like the provision for on-site affordable housing was referenced a couple times. I personally interpret the word provision in the context of how it was used, specifically noting on-site as being required. So my question to staff is on-site affordable a condition of the initiation?
Commissioner Miyahara, no, on-site affordable housing is not a requirement of the initiation. When we do meet with the applicant, we do talk about the potential for providing affordable housing, and we do encourage them to provide on-site if they can.
And has the applicant indicated that they're planning on providing on-site?
I'd like to bring the applicant up to the mic and to discuss their intent.
Yes, our plan would be to do on site. Over the years, we've built probably 800 inclusionary units throughout San Diego County, and we'd continue to do the same here.
So if they were to change the structure of the deal as they see it today and decide to go with an in lieu fee versus build on site, does that change staff's recommendation for today's initiation?
It would not, as the provision, the option for doing in lieu is allowed to them per the municipal code.
Okay, so meeting the initiation, in terms of general plan, goals, policies, objectives, as presented today, whether or not it's on site or they pay the in lieu fee through the inclusionary housing ordinance, they would meet that condition.
That is correct. The initiation is subject to the criteria in the general plan.
Great. Thanks for clarifying that.
Vice Chair Boomhauer.
Thank you, Chair. My colleague, Commissioner Miyahara, hit on one of my concerns with this. I think anytime we start messing around with prime industrial land designations, we have to be super careful. I think the trade-off in this particular case would be not just the production of housing, but the production of deed restricted affordable housing on site, because this is a highest resource area. So depending on how long it takes for this to move through, I may or may not still be on the commission, but if I am, I'm going to tell you, that's the first time I've actually said that out loud. That's kind of weird. But the reality is that if I am still sitting here, but I think what you're starting to hear from the commission is that is something that this commission is going to scrutinize, because we've been very consistent in asking applicants when they're looking, especially for deviations or any kind of accommodations, to try to make sure that they're providing that affordable housing on site. I get that the code allows both. I have clients that use both. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just, when we're in a highest resource area and we're exchanging something to allow an initiation or eventually to approve a project, I think it's important for us to consider that. The other major concern that I have, because we're still continuing to think about citywide incompatible uses and how they work. I know that's in the study. I think that's going to be critically important. I know that some of the adjacent property owners are talking about their own initiations and possibly changing the zoning. But I think that's as we look at, as staff looks, as this moves through the process at the adjacent users, I think it's going to be critically important to make sure that we're not going to yank the rug out from under an existing ongoing viable business simply in our effort to try to bring more housing in. We've got to always try to balance that. And so again, that's something that I'll be looking for when this comes back. With that, I'm happy to move staff's recommendation since Commissioner Miyahara didn't.
Yep, I'll second. And I'll just say, to add on to what you just said, I think it would be great if there was on-site affordable. However, I do think that developers should have flexibility, right? And through policy, that being our inclusionary ordinance, if the city wants to see more on-site affordable integrated with market rates so that we achieve some of the policy goals that the city wants, that the policy itself should incentivize developers to build on site, right? So if that's what the policymakers want, we need to provide those incentives so that developers do in fact do that. So, and I'll leave it at that. So if we're not achieving that, then it would say that we should look at the ordinance and how can we amend it to provide additional incentives so that we do see more production of affordable housing in high opportunity areas such as this one.
Commissioner Marlborough.
Yeah, thank you, staff, for your great report. And I just want to echo about the affordable housing. That's one thing that stuck out to me as well. I'm going to take you for your word. and I'm not going to forget on that. I mean, it's okay. It's a tremendous opportunity. I mean, if this work goes through, it has a possibility of 427 to 826 multifamily homes in this area, and it's a high resource area. I can't think of a better place to have affordable housing included in that process. So I'm in full support of this amendment initiation.
Thank you. Commissioner Mazzari?
Yeah, I'm in full support of this initiation, but I just had a quick question. I know you haven't planned the project yet, or it's not before us, but do you know if these are going to be rental or for sale units, or is it a mix of both?
No, our intention is for the market rate to be for sale, and the inclusionary would be for rent. We'll probably work with a housing developer that specializes in tax credits and things like that. So component of it will be for rent, but the majority of it will be for sale.
Okay. Sounds good.
Commissioner Ranger?
I wanted to say that I am in agreement with what Commissioner Boomhauer and Miyahara said. And I want to add that I think staff did a good job kind of giving an overview of what the community is like and what the resources are that are available, community resources that are available in and around the site. And as the developer commented, since the change to industrial park zone for 40 some odd years, except for that one existing vacant building that is there, it has not been, a hotbed for industrial development. So given that, and given our need for more housing and your, you told us you could take this to the bank that you're going to include affordable housing units. Yeah. I wanted to say that I think it makes sense, this initiation. So I'm in support of that.
Thank you. I echo my fellow commissioners' comments. It's pretty indicative to see that there's 0 affordable units in that community. So I think it's important that we keep the units in that community, whether it's on this site or, nearby adjacent, but I think it's important that we focus our efforts and not transport them to another highest resource area, but really in that community. I know prime industrial lands and are very important, and I think they're often undervalued and overlooked in our city. Typically, I would not be super supportive of prime industrial land being converted to residential, given that the nature of prime industrial lands usually is in an area that is really concentrated with a lot of other industrial. This is not the case. However, I do want to understand removing these from prime industrial land, what that does to the surrounding other acreage that we do have as prime industrial. I don't know if you've quantified that from a percentage perspective. If we take this off of the books in terms of prime industrial and convert it to residential, what that does for a net loss. I think it's important to recognize that we have to maintain our prime industrial lands, especially as kind of the way of living has changed, and a lot of things are in warehouses and distribution and that sort of thing. So I don't know if you have that number handy.
Based off the community plan, there's about 386 acres or square feet, of land in the community plan, and the 28.48 comes out to about 7.38% of the industrial land within the community plan.
Okay, so there's still prime industrial lands in the surrounding community, and we're not just pushing it further and out from the core. That's kind of where my concern is. I'm supportive of this. I think housing in this area is a good use, especially when you look at the high school across the street and other surrounding uses. I think it's appropriate to look at this from a residential perspective. So I'm in support. I don't see any other further comments. So I know we have a motion on the floor by Vice Chair Boomhauer and a second by Commissioner Miyahara. So I think we can go to a vote. And that passes unanimously. Good luck. That adjourns our meeting today. So thank you, everyone.